What? Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now, I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Pharaoh from Monte The Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monte The Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh. Later.
Hello, this is Mick Foley with a deep concern about our 2022 midterm elections. I do not like to get political on social media. That's part of the reason why I left Twitter. It got to feeling like I was dodging turds in what had once been a sparkling clean swimming pool. And at a certain point, it's no longer fun to swim in that murky water, and it's time to get out. So you will not hear from me politically for a while to come, but I am deeply concerned about these 2022 elections. Look, it's an old wrestling joke that back in the days when we used to be asked about the F word more frequently, talking about the fake word, you would say, well, yeah, the matches I lose are fake, but the ones I win are real. Meant to be a joke, but now it's become the policy of hundreds of people, literally hundreds of people running in this midterm election, from the highest offices, governors, senators, congressional representatives, to the secretaries of state and people running for school board and things of that nature. I don't want to tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you who I think you should not vote for, and that's anyone who's expressed the belief that the 2020 elections were fraudulent, or the conspiracy theorists. Look, democracy really is on the ballot this year. I understand inflation, and I don't like spending exorbitant amounts of money for a quarter pounder with cheese and fries. But these prices are going to come down. That's what inflation does. It runs in cycles. The last time it was this high is when Ronald Reagan was president. He turned out to be one of the most popular presidents of all time. Inflation decreased greatly, and it's going to decrease greatly here. Gas prices are going to go down. But once democracy is dead, it's not coming back. And so I urge you, with democracy hanging by a thread, not to elect people holding the scissors. It's a difficult time in America, and I think you should treat it as such. Cast your vote wisely, but please do vote, and have a nice day.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestler broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, straight out of Ronkonkoma. We want to thank the great Mick Foley for weighing in a day late after the election, but you know, we thought we should play his video. First, I want to thank Mick Foley. He does a lot of kind things for the kids, and he reads the Christmas stories, and he dresses up as Santa Claus.
Wait for it.
But the one thing I don't want is to hear any political advice from fucking Mick Foley. Okay, first of all, what I don't believe in is if you're a millionaire, buy some fucking teeth. That's the first thing I'm going to open up with.
Who's his
Pharaoh.
dentist?
Dude, seriously.
Don't tell me Britt Baker. I'm going to be really upset.
The guy's a millionaire, right?
Yeah, get some teeth.
Can you get some teeth?
Yeah, get some nice.
And if you're
white,
going to ask people to be responsible in their voting, put some teeth in your mouth.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That would be good. I could understand his sentences even more clear.
And he doesn't want to tell anybody who to vote for.
Right.
But don't vote for anybody that uses the F word. And I'm not going to say the F word because we'll get suspended yet again.
We don't want to be in trouble. But I find it hilarious, though, that you can have the opinion that it absolutely wasn't the F word.
Right.
That's okay. But if you dare think that it may not have been how he subscribes to it, you could get in trouble. You can't. You have to think like. And I ask you, is that democracy, Mr. I need a new pair of teeth?
Or maybe
that's not democracy.
He's off Twitter because he doesn't want to talk about politics anymore. Or maybe he just doesn't like Elon Musk.
Oh,
right?
Maybe
because he doesn't want to have to pay for his blue check mark that people pay him for.
Interesting. And how about the fact I love how he says he's not going to tweet anymore? I'll just throw out a video to get my 2 cents in. Either way, you're doing it.
One other thing.
I guess he has less aggravation because he can make the video and not read the replies.
One other thing, Pharaoh, you need to weigh in on.
Oh, God. Go ahead.
He's worried about democracy.
Yeah, so am I.
But if anyone knows, when Mick Foley does these signings, he gets paid like $10,000. That, to me, would be capitalism.
Sure sounds like it.
Major capitalism. But don't vote. Aren't you the guy that has the scissors, Mick Foley? I think so. Because I know plenty of people that pay you $10,000 to do their virtual signings. So again,
selectively righteous.
He speaks with forked tongue.
Selectively righteous.
Yes. I like that. I like that.
The F word may apply here after all. Selectively
RJ
righteous.
says too many chair shots that have really hurt Mick. Phil says, give us facts, Mick.
Yeah.
Check out
Amen, Phil.
DeSuzio's work. Still working us, please. Again, holding the scissors. He speaks with forked tongue and no teeth. Man who speaks with forked tongue and no teeth. The great Mick Foley.
You think that they'll throw in a tongue with the new teeth? Maybe a new tongue.
No, but maybe Mick can do some signings for us fans, us wrestling fans, for free.
What?
Because you're all about
that's the F word. Don't you ever mention that F word around Mick Foley ever again.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah. Have a nice day.
But don't let me tell you how to vote.
No, of course not.
Because I'm Mick Foley.
I'll just subliminally suggest. Aren't I slick? Aren't I slick? Yeah. Too many tosses off the top of a cage, I guess. These things happen.
These things happen.
What else you got?
These things happen.
You know?
These things happen.
Yeah.
What else you got? Hold on. I'm
what
coming.
Else you got?
Just relax.
I hope you don't have what I think is
yes. I told you you have this opportunity. Nike's relationship with Kyrie Irving likely over, Phil Knight says. A relationship between the Brooklyn Nets guard Kyrie Irving and Nike is likely severed for good. The shoe giant's co-founder told CNBC, I would doubt that we'd go back, co-founder Phil Knight said in the interview. How many times is this article going to say Phil Knight?
Yeah, Phil Knight. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What does he do by day, Mr. Knight? Go ahead.
But I don't know for sure. Nike announced last Friday that it has suspended its relationship with Irving and canceled its plans to release his next signature shoe.
Wow.
Because that's another guy. That's another guy that needs more money.
Right. And the world ain't right. Capitalistic piggies.
Pharaoh.
Yeah.
Have fun. It's all you,
have fun.
All the way.
Well, let's see. Well, you know, the reason why they don't want to do anything further with him is because of a massive fallout following his tweeting a link to a film containing anti-Semitic material. The Nets have also suspended Irving for at least 5 games. Well, you know what? You are a fucking racist, Kyrie Irving. And I don't think just because... Unfortunately, you know, being a black man, you get to deal with a lot of bullshit that you shouldn't have to, but that doesn't give you a free pass to be a fucking racist, okay? You are charmed, my friend. You might have had some talent. You know how to bounce a basketball. You're pretty good at bouncing it. Okay, congratulations. You have been paid millions of dollars. You never show up for your team. You are the worst teammate I've ever seen, and on top of it, you're an anti-Semitic? Oh, you like to hate Jews, huh? Oh, okay, that's good. And I got news for you. For the NBA, if you do not kick him the fuck out of the league, I will never, ever pay for another ticket to see one of your games again.
Well done.
Sickening.
Well
what
done.
What is with the double standard?
And by the
Get
way,
this motherfucker out of the fucking league.
we do have the job man on, so I know we're going a little bit long,
Yeah,
but there's a lot to
sorry.
say. So
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry about the language. I'm sorry, but that is just absolute hatred on parade. Fuck that.
I've got something to say now.
Hit it.
So
Can I sit back? Hit it.
sit back.
Yeah,
So
nice.
we had a wrestler
Okay.
by the name of Wolfie D. Wolfie D was in our studio, and then Wolfie was so impressed by our show, and he said, I'd love to do a show.
I could do this.
So we're like, okay, we gave him the whole semantics.
Yeah.
Get you some sponsors, get
Sure.
paid, have a good time.
Hey.
And Jamie Dundee, his former partner
Right.
from PG-13, contacted me, and because he was pissed off about all the things that Wolfie had said about him.
Okay.
So Jamie came on and gave a great interview.
Yes, he did.
Wonderful man.
Yeah.
And at
Yeah,
that
he
point, Wolfie's been trying to reach me, and Wolfie had a falling out because Wolfie, after taking sponsor money, and I'm going to say this flat out clear, he decides he doesn't want to do a show anymore.
Right.
So I said, that's not the right way to do business, Wolfie. You're the one that wanted sponsors, and we got you sponsors, and you decide to do your little audio podcast, you take the money and you run. So whatever. So we were
Okay.
done with it. Goodbye,
Right.
Wolfie, you're done.
Gotcha.
So as far as I knew, Jamie and Wolfie did not get along. Well, recently, and guys should tune in to Living Color, it's the Wolfie D podcast.
Okay.
He had Jamie Dundee on, and they mentioned the whole elephant in the room with what went on with the show for the numerous months that everybody, I think, is aware of because
Right.
they tune in.
Right.
Our loyal listeners and friends and family.
Of course.
That's on this list.
Love you-
JB,
love you
RJ,
all.
the First
Absolutely.
Lady, Phil, Little
Hello,
Patty,
hello.
the list goes on and on.
For sure.
So
Thank you, guys.
they don't mention the show.
Okay.
And
Oh, that was
but now
nice.
Jamie's got the itch.
You just gave them a cheap pop. They can't mention us.
Oh, whatever.
What are they spraying their tongues to say the words Monte and the Pharaoh?
Well, of
It's
course
that
not.
painful.
So Jamie's got the itch to get back into it. So now rumor has it they're going to tour.
Okay.
And
Okay.
rumor has it that these two may be entering the great studio of indie music TV and face off against Monte the Pharaoh. So I want to make
Face
something
off?
clear. Here's the deal.
Okay. Face
Wolfie,
off.
because Wolfie already told the agent that he wants nothing to do with me because he doesn't want me to rip him apart on studio. So be prepared, Wolfie, if you have the balls to come in here and wear a shirt because you look like a fucking idiot. Okay? And let's be real honest,
Oh,
Wolfie.
boy.
You were nothing in the wrestling industry. Let's get it factual. Okay?
I'm not stopping you. Go
You
ahead.
happen to live in the South, and in the South, it's just like marrying your sister.
Wait a
You
minute.
became a wrestler.
Okay.
Who knows? Maybe you blew Bill Dundee. I don't know. They probably licked
Oh.
his, or gave him, tossed his salad.
Man.
Bill, I want to be a wrestler. Toss my salad. There you go. I'm going to do that for you.
Chapstick, anybody?
So anyway, if you come in here, we're going to shred you. We are going to shred you. We're going to call you on all your bullshit and all the secrets we know about you, Wolfie D. Because the reason I'm bringing this up is because Wolfie D lied about me. And I caught wind about it, and I didn't like it. And I'm not going to tell... All I'm saying, Wolfie, if you have the balls come in here, we're going to shred you. And we're going to tell the world the truth. And I'll just leave it at this. I have all the texts, Wolfie, from many people, and I will read them on air. Because I don't like you, Warren. I don't like you anymore, Warren. Who names their son Warren when the last name is Wolf? Warren Wolf. Hi, I'm Warren Wolf. Anyway, so I got that off my back.
Oh, and bottoms up.
To the right is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh. Jimmy Pharaoh along with his partner,
Bottoms
Bart
up.
Griggs. Make up the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind, and the Monte the Pharaoh theme song, Riding High.
Bart, man.
Please catch Wisteria Hall's music on Reverb Nation, Spotify, Apple Music. You didn't know it. This is the Monte and the Pharaoh show, seen by over 2 million people.
Oh, they know
Facebook
it.
Live.
They know it.
Monte and the Pharaoh page, YouTube, Monte and the Pharaoh page. Hear us on iHeartRadio. Hear us on Spotify, Anchor. Catch
Hear
us on
us.
Twitch TV, channel
Catch us.
15 every Tuesday. In New York at 9:30 and Saturday at 11:30. That's the wrong information. I don't know what the hell I did. Unbelievable.
Times.
We'll be
We're on
right
cable.
back with the Job Man, one of the great wrestling legends. His second time on the show. Always great to see him and hear him. Chris Multier.
See you in an enhanced second.
Oh,
How I did that?
I like that,
Like how I did
enhanced.
that. Yeah, we'll be right back.
But he doesn't want to be called enhanced.
No. I just
Why
figured
didn't you
I'd
say
throw it in.
see you in a job second?
I don't know.
Doesn't really sound right.
It doesn't sound right. I liked how I did it.
Well, I wonder what Chris is going to say. I wonder what he's going to say about all these things: Mick Foley, Kyrie Irving, Wolfie D. He might not. He might know Wolfie D.
He probably pinned him. We'll see you in a second.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544.
Jimmy, I got to take a dump.
What?
No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen only here out of Indie Music TV. We want to welcome the job man, Mr. Chris Multier. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, guys. I hope you're easy on me tonight. I was getting a little scared there. You guys were venting pretty good.
You weren't. I don't even know how to say this. I didn't want to put you in this spot, but it's crazy tonight. So
That's okay.
Chris, Mick Foley. Thoughts on Mick Foley and his political views, Chris? I hate to put you on the spot, but what are your thoughts?
Well, if he didn't like to, talk about his political views and voting and stuff, then he shouldn't have done it. Just don't talk about wrestling, and who cares what he thinks or whatever, and his views and stuff. And like you said, he's a millionaire, and what does he got to worry about? He doesn't have to worry about anything.
Hey, you don't have shit to worry about.
Do you really want to take advice if a guy gets thrown from the top of a cage? It's like, and I got to be honest with Mick.
I think the funny line you had.
What's that?
Was when you said he talks with a forked tongue, but he doesn't have any teeth.
He doesn't have any.
Well,
you guys. I mean, I was dying over here. I mean, you guys were when you guys get into it together. It's absolutely a great comedy show. I just enjoy it.
I appreciate
Wait a minute,
that,
but
Chris.
we're being serious. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. That's the funniest part about the whole thing, Chris.
And then those two guys. What is it, Wolfie D and that other guy? I mean, they look like they got title belts made out of hubcaps.
Now, did you look? I know you're an old school guy that wrestled some of the greatest legends of all time. Yeah. So I probably wouldn't expect you to know him. But did you ever hear of PG-13?
Was he a wrestler?
They were a tag team.
Is he it's a
PG-13?
Well, I guess the answer is no.
I know there's movies that are rated that, but I didn't know there was wrestlers that were rated that.
Oh my God!
Oh my God!
I mean, what do they do?
Chris.
Wake up at 2 a.m. and think I'm going to come up with a stupid name like that?
Well, Jamie
They must be 14 years old.
You know Bill Dundee, right?
Yeah, I know who he is. He's about 5 foot tall.
You'd squash him like a grape.
He was a great little worker, and he was a good booker. Him and Lawler had some great matches against
He's
each
thinking
other.
about his father.
But what did?
Jamie
isn't one of his kids a wrestler?
Jamie. So
That's the other-
Jamie's part of PG-13.
That's the other half of the Hubcap Tag Team Champions.
Yeah, the Hubcap Tag Team Champion. The one guy looks like Buff Bagwell's. Or he stole the Grinch's hat or something like that.
Ooh.
Man.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
The one guy needs to go to the gym, the guy with the hat on. Take steroids. These guys look like a total of 250 pounds together.
Ooh. Yeah, where's George Saharian when you need him with those roids?
George Saharian.
Yeah, where is he?
Oh, my
He's the
God.
medicine man. He's the candy man. If he can't do it, no one can. Come on, you know the deal.
Oh, boy.
Come on. Chris, what is it that makes a pro wrestler decide everybody out there must want to hear my political opinion?
Maybe I'll talk about religion. What is it? Why?
I don't know, because you're entertaining.
Yeah, but what makes the
You talk
wrestler
about
himself?
mean your opinion or Foley's?
What makes it, as you being a former professional wrestler, what do you think of when a wrestler decides, hey, my opinion on politics is so important that I've just got to make it public?
He thinks he can get away with it because he's well known, and nobody cares about what he says, and nobody would care about what I said. And it's, we don't come on here to talk about that kind of stuff. We come on here to talk about our wrestling experiences and that kind of stuff. And that's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear about their personal, their political views and what about this and these candidates and stuff like that. You know what? Just keep that stuff to yourself or talk to your wife about it. But I don't want to hear it.
Well,
and you
that's
guys
the
don't
problem.
either.
Foley's wife's so embarrassed by the way he looks all the time, she's never in the picture. So she probably can't talk to him. I mean, seriously, the guy grows a beard 10 feet long. He has no teeth in his mouth.
He's hot. I can't anymore.
He ain't as hot as Dutch Mantel, I'll tell you that much.
Oh! If you ask me one more question, Rabbit, I'm not answering. It's Yosemite Sam.
God.
Hi, I'm Dutch Mantel, and I know everything about everything.
And all the truths are hiding right here in my beard.
He's a guy that you would want to slip him a Mickey, and while he's sleeping, shave half his face. Oh. And so he's got one half mustache, and the other one is completely shaved off. Because it's like, really, get rid of that stuff. You're disgusting.
And half his back.
Oh.
What is this, George Steele? What the hell's going on here? Oh,
All right.
oh my Lord.
All right, enough making fun.
Yeah,
He's got
all right.
more hair on his back than Andre had on his head.
Oh, my God.
Damn. Oh my Lord. It blew my finger.
Hey, my name's Dutch Mantel, and I could tell you how to build a rocket ship.
He could.
Yeah.
He was there.
He sounds like Earl Scheib used to.
Oh, my God.
Shall we move on to some wrestling questions?
Yes,
maybe?
please.
Maybe. Okay. Chris, it's been 25 years since the Montreal screw job. First, I'd like to get your thoughts on that, considering you were professional. No matter what the decision was going to be beforehand, you followed what they asked you to do. So, thoughts on the screw job from Montreal involving Hart and Michaels, and although the answer might be obvious, who would you take in a real scrap?
Bret Hart. Bret Hart in a real one.
Yep, that makes sense.
Here's the thing. This business is pretend. It's not real.
It is.
And so what if he would have lost the title in what was it, Toronto or wherever they were at?
Right, in Canada. Montreal.
It was Montreal. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
Which
but
screw job
yeah,
was this?
it's like,
Let me remember.
Yeah, right?
Might be someone we're not even aware
I'm
of.
so flustered by Mick Foley and Dutch and
you can't get past the forked tongue.
And the Hubcap twins. But
Hubcap twins. Oh, my God.
But
oh, boy.
If you had to lose, so what? He would have probably got it back or whatever. I mean, he got paid a big ton of money, and anybody who I mean, I never had a problem losing, and I did it for 20-some years. So what if he had to lose in Canada? Who cares? They would have worked something out to come back again.
Did we lose you? You there?
No, he's still there.
I'm still here.
Let me ask you this: do you think Did you think that screw job was set up, or do you think it was real?
It was set up. I'm sure Vince did something right at the very end and said, "Okay." He told I don't know, it was a referee, Hebner, Earl Hebner, Dave Hebner, told him to excuse me. When he puts him in that sharpshooter, ring the bell right away, because there's no way he would have given up like that. So he would have had to go on longer.
So you don't think Hart really knew what was going on? It was just this elaborate
I don't think he
scheme.
did. No, and I don't think Michaels knew either. I think it was a complete surprise. I suppose there's different versions of what people think, but for whatever reason, I'm sure, um, you know, it would be like a complete surprise to both of them. I was in a match one time with Greg Gagne in Rockford, Illinois, and he had me in like a straight armbar with his legs, and I would get up and I'd pull him by the trunks, and I almost had him pinned, but I had to throw myself off, and I had to tell the referee finally. I said, "Man, I got his trunks," because I could have pinned him, and what are they going to do? You know, so, and that wouldn't have been planned. It would have, if I would have done that, I would have been done. But I really believe that Vince pulled the very last, he pulled the rug underneath him, from underneath him. And I don't know why he did it, but for whatever reason, he did it. So I think it was all Vince and nobody else. Maybe Pat Patterson.
Okay. What was the biggest uproar you have ever seen in your career behind the scenes regarding a booking? Did you ever see anybody go, "There's no way I'm putting this fucking guy over"?
I'm trying to think. It would be. I never really saw anything too much. I remember one time. I think the biggest thing that somebody got ticked off at, Honky Tonk Man was wrestling this job guy from Kansas City. We were in Madison, Wisconsin, and the guy kept screwing up Honky's finish, you know, the shake, rattle, and roll, and he screwed it up, and Honky ended up landing on his own ass twice, and the guy was still standing there, so finally Honky hooked him and really, you know, brought him down hard, and then they went to the back. Kurt Hennig and we were just dying back there, and Honky started slapping the guy around, and he was really ticked off. But I never really saw, you know, backstage fights or anything like that. So yeah.
Hey, Chris,
even at house shows, when I was at house shows, nobody really, you know, started anything up with anybody.
Where did you get your training from?
There's a guy named Tom Stone. There was a little old, it was a old pool room. We had a ring set up, and I took the bus down there 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. And we trained for 3 to 4 hours a day. And I learned everything, learned how to fall, learned how to bump, learned how to run the ropes, how to go over the top ropes, moves, you know, headlock takedowns, arm drags, all that kind of stuff. Did that for like 3 months. And then after that, we started learning psychology. I never went through Vern's camp, but I'm glad I didn't. You know, some guys go through these camps and they get the living shit kicked out of them. Which is, there's really no reason for it unless some guy is like really cocky. But, you know, you go in there and you want to learn. You're doing this because this is what you want to do, and you want to do it right. And he kind of held, you know, he was the guy that would book us to go do TV, or he'd call me if hey, they need you for, you know, to go TV in Minneapolis or Kansas City or St. Louis, but that's where I got my training. And so I got in the easy way.
Did you meet Vern and Greg? At what point do you meet them?
The first time I went to Minneapolis. In fact, Greg and Brunzell, it was my first match. It was Stone and I against the High Flyers. And then Vern was there. And you know, the weirdest thing, you guys, when you go up there is you got all the heels and all the baby faces, and they're talking to each other. It's just like, it was all real. It was all surreal. It's like, wow. this really does go on, and it's the biggest secret. And you see Ray Stevens talking to Billy Robinson, or Nick Bockwinkel talking to the Crusher, and they're whatever, and then Vern's up there, and then they go out and they do these interviews that they hate each other, but meeting Vern for the first time was really something else, because I grew up watching the AWA when I was a little kid, and then a dozen years later I'm wrestling for these guys. So they were all pretty decent. Greg was decent. I never had a problem with Greg, not one time, and I probably wrestled him more than anybody up there, and I learned. But he was super easy in the ring. Love working him.
Well, since you didn't go through that camp, was it hard getting the trust of like a Brunzell or a Gagne because they didn't know you, or was it a conversation?
They would kind of feel you out. How you would take like their arm drags or their do a spot, how you would sell for them. And then once, and doing their finish. And once you really, because when you're doing TV, you're going 100 miles an hour. You put everything you can into it for those 6 or 7 minutes. And once you make them look good and you really sell their finish and their moves and stuff like that, it's like, hey, you know what? They think we're pretty good. And then the good thing is that when they keep calling you back, Greg, it was Greg and Vernon, Wally Carbo, and those were the top three. And if they liked you, and the best part is that a lot of just about, I wouldn't say all the time, but a pretty good amount of time, I'd go up there, and they would, Greg would announce, he goes, Greg and Curtis, so-and-so and this guy. And I would get Greg a lot. And I felt that he trusted me, that we would have a good match, that I wouldn't screw up. And it's over a period of time, you feel the guy out. And so that made me feel real good that he liked to work me more often than not.
You mentioned Ray Stevens. Now, Pharaoh and I, we were WWE guys or WWF guys. So we caught Stevens real late in his career, but we used to hear how great this guy was, but we really didn't see it.
No, we saw the tail end.
Right. But how great was Ray Stevens in your opinion?
Everybody says he was probably one of the greatest workers ever. I would put up, as far as heels go, I would probably put him and Bobby Heenan almost together. The way Ray's timing was, and he was an innovator of different things, like that flip over the top in the turnbuckle, and just the way he could sell stuff, and he made it look so realistic, when he punched and kicked and everything, and when he was doing all that, it was like wrestling a cotton ball. He was so light.
Really?
And his philosophy is that you take care of that person, as long as they're treating you like with kid gloves, and you go out there and you make it look like he's beating the living hell out of you, he's going to take care of you. But he was a great guy. He was one of my mentors when I went up there too. You could ask him a question. He never had an ego. He would tell you what to do. He would watch. He was just really good when you're breaking into the business. And he never said, "Hey kid, I don't have any time for you right now." So he was one of the best. He was one of the guys that I really, really liked. Never wrestled him, but man, he was a good guy to talk to.
I want to hammer this home. You mentioned not just Ray Stevens, but you mentioned there's another all-time.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jimmy, I can't hear you.
Okay, you mentioned not just Ray Stevens, but as another all-time great villain I want to make sure we got this clear with the audience at home. In the ring. You're talking about Bobby Heenan, the wrestler, correct?
Yes.
Because I don't think a lot of people really remember, or he's not remembered enough for what he did in the ring as a wrestler, because he was an amazing bad guy who got tons of emotion and hatred from the fans.
When he could do stuff that other guys couldn't do, he would wrestle like a chicken shit manager.
Yeah.
And really and just make the other guy look like $1 million. And he would do stuff to, I mean, he could make a 10-year-old look like a world champion. He would put himself in positions and in different ways that he could be upside down and just, off of something real simple. And he knew how to pop that crowd. And he was one of the reasons why I got into wrestling, him and Stevens. Those were the two guys why I really, really wanted to get into wrestling and be a heel, just the way that they sold for the babyface when they made a comeback, or just making themselves look, he would make himself look like a buffoon out there.
Right.
And he really wasn't, and he was a tough guy, but he just played to the audience. And yeah, it was those two guys that I absolutely loved watching.
Chris, can you tell the fans about your book, where they can get it and what they could expect when they open this book? I've read it, obviously, I could tell you, but I think it's better coming from your mouth.
What it's about is, it goes from when I became a fan of wrestling when I was like 9 years old, and I turned it on, and when you turn on a TV show and you're just like hooked right away, that's how I was. And then through the years, how I would do anything I could to watch wrestling. I mean, I worked at a restaurant when I was in high school. Some of the stuff I would do like silly stuff, and I was obnoxious, and it was perfect. My personality was perfect to get into wrestling and be a heel, and just be I could be a pain in the ass, in real life, and I could be a pain in the ass wrestling. And that's what I really loved. I mean, I worked at a restaurant, like I said, in high school, and I lived about a mile away, and I was a dishwasher for a while. I actually had a 12-inch black and white TV. I would ride my bike to work. I would put it on my lap, and I would take it all the way. I'd put it on a couple of milk crates and watch wrestling while I'm in the back running the dishwasher. That's how much I loved it. And then it goes on and how I got into wrestling. I was a photographer for a while. I wanted to do that, become like another Bill Apter, and then I just got into the business, and just a lot of the different stories that it's the humorous side of the business. It's none of my business, you guys, on what these guys do, the other guys that I wrestled or whomever in the dressing room, what they do in their private lives. It's none of my business. Absolutely, because I didn't care. It's all about my matches and when I refereed and the different things that happen when I was in it, and I try to put a humorous spin on it, and I really loved it. I had a blast writing, and there was times I was just laughing my butt off because, and that's what I hope everybody when they read it, they laugh, because that's what it's all about. I like humor and silly stuff. Well, you guys know I love the Three Stooges, so that's how I kind of
certainly
spun it off. Yeah.
There you go.
Chris, can you tell us a story when you wrestled the bear? We didn't cover that last time you were here, and
Wrestled the bear?
It's such a good story.
Wrestled the bear?
Oh, sure.
Hey.
I was about 20 years old, and they used to have the sports show in Milwaukee every spring. And there was a guy named Tuffy Truesdale. He used to go around to the different territories, and he would bring Victor the bear. He was like a 600-pound black bear. And he would, the promoter would have the big time, the top heel wrestle Victor. And it would sell out all over. So he had Victor at the sports show, and they were kind of like egging me on, hey, you should do it, you should do it. So I signed up for it. And needless to say, I was scared to death because there's this bear, he could probably rip me into kindling. But the next day, I didn't sleep at all that night. I was so nervous. He was out there, and we had to sign a waiver. Like if we got hurt and stuff, it's not Victor's fault. And Tuffy Truesdale, Tuffy used to wrestle down in the Carolinas a lot in the South, and he used to wrestle alligators and Victor. He put on a show, but there was a couple guys that went before me, and what they did is they stood up, and they locked up with them, but Victor just took them down and ate them up. But what I did was I locked up with him, and then I went toward his waist, and then he got on top of me, but somehow I was able to get up, and I double-legged him. If you guys are familiar with amateur wrestling, I got him on his back, and when I got him on his back, I hooked the back of his head, and then his left front paw.
That's a paw.
And
it's a big
he couldn't
paw.
get up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I had him pinned. Well, Tuffy said I didn't have him pinned because I was supposed to grapevine his legs. Well, that's impossible. So if you look in the book, his legs are up like that, and it would have been impossible. But I had him pinned dead to rights. And then about 3-4 months later, there was another bear that came to town, and he was at a shopping center, and they put him in a cage. And this bear was like, I'm going to say, and I'm not exaggerating, he had to be almost 7 feet tall, weighed 650, 700 pounds, terrible Teddy. And he just squashed me from behind. And I thought, I got to get him on his back. But he was so big, then he hooked my left shoulder, and he messed up my rotator cuff. And so those were my bear wrestling experiences. But the best part is, people go, I don't believe you wrestled a bear, but there's that picture. There's a picture in the book where I've got Victor pinned, and I was the only one ever to pin Victor. Then right after that, an animal rights group was all pissed off, and so they went to the Milwaukee board or whatever and said, they really raised hell, and they said, this is, inhuman, and this is this, and it's animal cruelty, and we couldn't do anything because we had rules we had to follow. We couldn't poke him in the eyes and pull his fur and stuff like that. But that was it for the bear after that one.
I don't think you'd want to poke him in the eyes, quite honestly. You'd probably really piss him off.
I'm sorry?
I said, I don't think you would want to poke him in the eyes, quite honestly. You'd probably really piss that bear off.
No.
Did you ever wrestle anybody with bad
really
teeth and a forked tongue?
Right.
No, you wouldn't do that. Why didn't Tuffy own up to the fact you beat the bear? You beat the bear. Yeah. Nobody else beat the bear. Tuffy's giving you a hard. Who is this guy? Tuffy sucks.
Yeah,
seriously,
he was. But Victor's better looking than Mick.
There you go. Better looking. I can't bear
Chris,
it.
Jason Kessler's
Victor had teeth.
Jason Kessler's asking about Rooster Griffin.
Rooster Griffin.
Oh God.
Uh-oh.
Rooster Griffin was a job guy from Chicago, and how he came up with that name is beyond me. But I think Rooster had he had this he kind of looked like Foghorn Leghorn with his hair, and it was kind of like spiky, and he had a mullet and everything, and and he was terrible. We weighed about 190 pounds.
He was terrible.
And Tom Stone wrestled him and beat him on TV. But yeah, Rooster Griffin, that was a classic one.
190
Alvern
pound
let him
foghorn
wrestle.
Leghorn. All right.
Yeah.
Chris, what was your biggest win, if you had any?
Ooh.
When I wrestled Art Washington, this was up in La Crosse, Wisconsin. This is the one where Vince came and he got myself and DiBiase and Virgil and Art together, and what the angle was that DiBiase would go, I'd be in the ring, but DiBiase he demeaned me, and he said, I'm not worth his time. I'm a preliminary bum. I'm not going to waste my sweat on this guy. So I paid somebody to do my sweat for me, and that was Art Washington. And Art and I actually drove up to do TV there. So I beat Art in about a minute and a half, and then they stomped the crap out of Art. But that was my win, my only win ever, for New York. And then one time, back in I think it was '85, I wrestled Rick Martel when Rick had the strap in the AWA, and Stan Hansen interfered, and then Martel jumped out of the ring, and then I got my hand raised because I beat him on a count out.
Wow.
Wow.
That's huge.
So those
That
are probably
is
my
huge.
two big
That's-
wins.
Was
That's
that a
huge.
title match or was that non-title?
It was a non-title match,
Right.
but people in the audience were yelling "new champ, new champ," and I'm
There you go.
putting my hands across the waist like I'm gonna I
Nice.
should get the belt, and
You should.
and
You should.
it,
No.
it was pretty cool. What's that?
I said, you should get the belt. No? Jeez.
I know. You know what? And what's really funny is around 30 years before that, they used to, on a count out, the guy would lose the title.
Right.
Really?
Those are the old rules.
Way back.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
back. Yeah. Yep. Chris, what is it? I'm curious. Being, obviously the jobber, the job man, behind the scenes, are the guys that are above you on the card, let's say you're all at the bar, all of yous, and are the guys above you on the card like believe in their own hype? Are they dicks to people who are just, as a general rule, that are lower than them on the card? Is it like that?
Some of them. Road Warriors were.
Road Warriors.
Paul Ellering was.
Wow. Okay.
And here's the crazy thing, you
Interesting.
guys. I was when I first started out in the AWA, and I'm not afraid to name names because I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
So what are they going to do?
Nothing. Go for it.
Try to kick my ass? Go for it. I mean, where do you want to meet?
You fought a
I mean, it's
bear.
studio, and so.
Good luck.
But I wrestled Paul a lot. My first year in 1979, him and Steve Olsenowski, and Paul was a great guy. And then they came to Green Bay. He was managing the Road Warriors. It was a tag, a 6-man or something like that. I said, "Hey, Paul, how you doing?" He just looked at me and walked away.
Wow.
And some guys, their heads get so big, it's like, why? There's no reason for it. I mean, this is, I don't get it. It just, there were a few of them. When I went to, when
Well,
I first went
can
to
I
the
stop you there 1
WWF.
second?
Yeah.
Give me an interaction between the job man and Hawk and Animal at a bar or wherever else where they just treated disrespectfully.
Hey guys, how you doing? Chris Curtis. I wrestled for Vern, and I wrestled. I refereed your match tonight. How's it going? I think Joe Animal
Okay.
would have been. He was probably the nicer of the two.
That's good to hear.
So
Having met him.
the other guy, Hagstrand, Hawk.
Right.
He was way out there with the stuff that he was on, but it just, I never really associated with those guys. You know, I'm going to tell you the nicest guys that always stayed really nice, even though they really made it big, were Hogan and Jesse. When we went to New York and then they came in, they would stop and say hi and, hey guys, how's it going and stuff, because they knew us from the AWA, and they didn't walk by like, their crap didn't stink, but those are probably still two of the decent guys. And you could tell, like when I first went there, my first time I was in the WWF was in Indianapolis, and you could tell how some of these guys there, it was like, this was the big time, and I'm going to have a chip on my shoulder. My ego has gotten 5 times bigger. And, two other guys that were really decent yet too were Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. They were still really cool. So, and I heard guys had problems with Shawn over the years, but we never had a problem.
But
I don't this business, like I told you guys, this is pretend. This is kind of like give and take. Like you guys give and take with each other. That's how you make it. That's how you make a match work, and an angle work. You got to get along, and because if you don't, you're going to screw it up. You're going to lose money, and just get along with each other. It's not hard, because the better you get along, the better your match is going to be, and it's just a natural human thing. You get along better, things work out better.
Jason Morning's asking, did you ever get a chance to work with Bruiser Brody?
Yes, in St. Louis. Bruiser was Frank. What he used to do is he was scary as hell because he was so big. But he came up and he said, if I don't talk to you afterwards, thank you very much. Shook your hand, and then you went out and you did your match, and then you just sold big time for him. And he was really easy with me. He was a little stiff, like Stan Hansen, but that's okay. But I never had a problem with Frank. Another time, you just go out there, you sell for him. If you don't sell for him, then he's gonna make you sell, whether you like it or not. But no, Frank never had a problem with him.
Did you wrestle the Road Warriors at all?
No, and I'm glad that I didn't, because I remember the first time I saw those guys on Atlanta TV, I saw how they just abused people,
right?
And they were totally reckless. And I watched these guys and I said, I'll be damned if I'm ever going to get in a ring with these two. But it wasn't their fault, because they were green. Ole Anderson told them to beat the hell out of who's ever in there, and even the stars didn't want to wrestle these guys because they didn't know what they were doing. And then they had the finish that they used too was I think it was, they would set you on their shoulders. They'd pick you up from underneath like that, and they'd set you on your shoulder.
Yep.
And then the one guy came off the top rope and clotheslined you. And what they would do is, instead of like going back
right
real easy, they took your legs and they went like that, and they jacked you up, and you did a flip. You had no control, and you would land on your face, or on your stomach and stuff. And it's like you had no control, and that's how you can get really hurt. And they thought it was okay because it looked great, but there was no way. And even later, when they had more experience, I wouldn't have wrestled them. I would have said, I'm not wrestling these guys. No way. I got a regular job. I got a family. I'm not going to go out there and end up like a vegetable the rest of my life because of these guys.
Little Patty's asking, did you work with Barry and Kendall Windham? And if so, did they have attitudes?
Never worked them.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Never
think you
worked.
would have.
Yeah, no, I never. I never had a chance to. Barry would have been great. I don't think. I don't think Kendall ever went to New York at all. I think he was in WCW for a while in Florida, but no, I never had a chance to wrestle Barry.
We had Ken
Kendall.
Patera on last week. Experiences with Ken Patera.
I wrestled Ken twice. Wrestled him in the AWA, and I wrestled him in I think Cedar Rapids, Iowa, for New York. He was easy. Ken took care of me. Not a problem with Ken. You know, I remember we talked about our match. You know what we're going to do. He said he was just real easy, you guys. He said, "Here, I'm just going to do this, and I'll put you in the
Swinging a neck
full
breaker.
Nelson, and I'll swing you around a little bit." And but everything else, he was a day off. I never had a problem with Ken at all. Good guy.
Chris, what was it like for you, being AWA alumni, to see a very young, very talented, fresh out of the wrestling camp, a Kurt Hennig, turn into a Mr. Perfect, and then leave us too soon? Any thoughts on, memories of Kurt Hennig, watching him ascend and then watching him leave us way too soon?
It was really tragic. He was, as far as I was concerned, he was probably, I don't know. I can't remember if he was world champion.
Yes.
For the WWF, or he was just Intercontinental champion. But
Intercontinental, but we know what he did in AWA.
Yeah, I wrestled him in a tag match. Him and Scott Hall. They were really easy. Really, just again, really easy guys. But boy, oh boy, was he a talent! And then it's kind of like it's a shock. He's gone, and and there's too many guys that unfortunately the business took them away. And
do you think it was stardom that led to his getting carried away, or just the business itself? In other words, all the drugs and whatever else.
It was the drugs.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the drugs, Jimmy, because I know the guys. It's a horrible life. I don't know how some of these guys, especially the schedule that they had. When you're on the road for like 60 days straight, you don't see your family. You get up early in the morning, you got to catch a flight, and it's just you're a robot. And I guess you need something to settle down and to wake up, and then the next thing you know, you're hooked on this stuff, and the business ate them up. Kind of like Eddie Guerrero and Benoit and
Scott Hall,
whoever else.
Yeah,
these guys just
Roddy.
Chris,
it's a tragedy.
Phil DeCesare is asking, did you ever have a chance to work with Kevin Kelly, a.k.a. Nails?
Ooh, Nails.
No, but he was another one. He was as stiff as you want to be, because he didn't know how to work. He just went out there and pounded the hell out of you. Nobody ever showed him how to work. It's just, there's a good story. Tom Stone, the guy who broke me in, he and Steve Olsenowski, they were in Milwaukee. And Kevin Kelly teamed up with a guy named Steve Regal. And Vern had not smartened up Kevin Kelly. And so Kevin was in the ring, and Tom was saying that he was just so stiff that he had to talk to him like, you got to settle down. You're killing me. So, he smartened him up, somewhat, but he just went out there and he was roughshod. And then I think when he got to be Nails, that's when he really got loony, and he gained a lot of weight. But yeah, he was like super strong. I think he was like he won a couple of tough man contests, and he was an arm wrestler and all that kind of stuff. And so, but thank God I didn't have to wrestle that guy, because I lucked out. I was a heel all the time. I didn't have to wrestle some of these, hardcore heel jerks that beat the crap out of you.
Let's put you on the hot spot.
Yeah.
Which guy did you finally name? One guy that you said, I don't give a shit, I'll quit wrestling, I'm just going to beat the shit out of him, because you just disliked him that much?
You know what? It never really came to that point for me. Thank goodness.
Oh, you're lucky.
It never did. And there was only, I really couldn't tell you guys honestly that there was a guy where
let's turn it the other way, Chris. Let's turn it the other way. Let's turn it the other way. Which guy did you adore the most, and which passing of a wrestler upset you the most?
Would it be the guy that I
like? Who did
really
you like the most?
A lot, and then passed away?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna say
the Hubcap Twins.
Even though I had a rough time with him,
the Hubcap Twins.
Billy Robinson.
Really?
Billy Robinson.
Wow.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Didn't he do some bullshit to you?
He did. I really respected him.
Yeah.
I really respected him, and
give him a slap. Respect.
But he just, he grew to be an old man and stuff. But after that, I didn't hold grudges against anybody. If they were kind of rough with me and stuff, like Bret Hart when he was stiff with me in the ring. It's kind of like he didn't try to cripple me or anything like that. But I have to say that nobody really went out of their way to try to really do a job on me to put me in the hospital or anything.
Why was Bret stiff with you? Bret Hart is always hailed as the excellence of execution, Mr. Mat Technician. Why is he being stiff with you? What did he do?
He claimed that I was a little heavy on a body slam, but I could see I was in a vulnerable position. I was laying on my back, and he would come like this. He would come down, and he would put an elbow right here. And then he would he was just really laying him in, and there was no reason for him to do that. And I looked at the tape, and I didn't find myself to be heavy or anything like that. But even if you are a little bit, you don't go up all the way. For these guys, you don't have to kill a guy. And there was a few other guys that had problems with him too, and he really took it out on the job guys for whatever reason. There was a couple other guys that had problems with him too. So when he cries the blues about Bill Goldberg super kicking him in the face, and he probably caused his stroke, that's bullshit. It didn't cause a stroke. Too bad. He's still whining and crying about it. It's like, give it up, man. That was probably 20 years ago.
Do you think he's destroying his legacy with all this crying that he does? Because whenever he has a chance, he's got something to say about something. I mean, even on the Tales of the Territories,
Right.
he talks about how Vince took over his father's Stampede
Right.
and didn't give him a dime for it.
Right. Yeah, does this hurt Bret Hart's legacy? Because we see what CM Punk is doing. He never shuts up. So he's looking less and less cool minute by minute. Any thoughts on Hart, like possibly shutting up?
Yeah, it's all sour grapes. I don't know why Brett's crying about it. He's making money, going around doing these signing shows.
Oh, is he ever?
And
Yep.
That was a long time ago. I mean, that was what, 30 when Vince took over 38 years ago.
Yep.
But guess what? You were mad at Vince, and then you go back to Vince. And you're mad at Vince, and you go back to Vince. And you're mad at this guy, but you go back to this guy. Make up your mind.
Yeah.
So obviously, you're not mad. But you know what? Talks this.
Right.
Because he's getting this.
Correct.
So shut up, Brett.
Nice.
Sweet.
Shut up, Brett.
Yeah.
That could be used for the dirt sheets.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Chris, please tell the fans where they can find your book. And again, thank you for joining us. You're always such a great conversation, and thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. I love listening to you, and you guys are great. You can get it on Amazon. Order it on Amazon. It's $20. Or you can go to Wisconsin Historical Society Press. But Amazon is probably easier. You probably get it in about a week or so. Yeah. A lot of fun.
We want to apologize for your Packers, how bad they are. I'm sure you're miserable at this point.
Wow. You know what? I kind of figured you guys, and you know what? They deserve it. But I was going to mention something about, your Jets are doing really good. Your Jets.
Yo, we got to celebrate because you know how this usually goes for us. I mean, what is going on
but
here?
it was funny because when I remember the first time when I talked to you guys and you said, well, we don't have Joe Namath anymore, so it's been hell for the last 50 years. But that the Packers organization is in like total disarray, and I'm talking about from the general manager to the coach to Rodgers to everything.
Do you think it's time?
Else.
Do you think it's time they cut ties with Aaron Rodgers? Because first it was the coach's fault. I mean, at what point?
I think so.
Oh, wow.
I really do.
Wow, interesting.
Here's the problem with Wisconsin sports. A coach or a player, he'll have one or two, good years. So what do? They sign him to the moon. They give him the world.
Right.
And then the next thing you know, they're losing. And then they're stuck with them. So I think that they should trade him. The coaching that they do, the play calling and stuff, I hate to say it, but I don't really care anymore. I really don't. But when I saw your Jets beat the Packers, I was thinking of you two guys. It's like, man, you guys are probably smiling, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You guys, it's nice to see new teams in there.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you one thing, just real quick to round this out, the football. The Jets may not have a Joe Willie, but I got a feeling we might have a few LTs hanging around on our defense, and I'm not sure anything else matters.
Phil Desiree says, Chris, it sounds like your book is a great read.
It is.
You're an entertaining guest, and you are, sir, and we love having you on the show, and we're glad to call you as a friend. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
Well, thank you guys. Again, it's been an honor, and I really enjoy your show, and thanks for inviting me.
All right.
You're welcome. Thanks, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
All right.
Never fails. Good stuff, right?
But did he wrestle a guy with bad teeth and a forked tongue? That's what I want to know. He beat a bear.
You know what I like?
He beat a bear.
You know what I like?
Yeah.
He respects what he did in the business.
Yeah, you could
He
tell.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And he considered it a privilege.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he's very real, and he's very humble about it.
Yeah.
And he's very likable because he's real.
yeah,
He's not a bullshit artist.
I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you.
That was fantastic.
He's always good. He's always
He
good.
is.
And the book is excellent. I'm
It
telling
is.
people, guys, get
It
it.
is.
It's a good, easy read.
It's a bargain
fun.
for a 20 spot, too.
We read it on the beach that day.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yes, we did.
I want to remind everybody, Sunday, 1 o'clock, I know it's football time, time, but we've got the Godwins in studio.
There you go.
And that should be pretty exciting,
That's
right?
gonna be
the Godwins,
nuts.
both sitting on the couch.
It's going to be
And
nuts.
it's been a while since
since
Valentine,
anybody
right?
sat on the couch.
Yeah, since Valentine,
Yeah.
right? So
let's have somebody sit on
again,
the
we
couch.
keep going. We
Yes, we
had
do.
Ken Patera,
Yeah.
we got the Job Man
Yeah.
in the house, and now we got the Godwins. So you
There you
can't
go.
beat it.
There you go.
All right, this has been Mike. Oh, we want to thank everybody for joining us again on Thursdays. It's such a privilege and an honor that you guys take your time with us
Yes.
to watch us. So we thank you.
Yes, yes.
Tremendous love
Thank you,
out
guys.
there. And
Thank you.
what do you call it? AEW was in Boston yesterday, right?
Oh, was it?
I wonder if Phil went to go see his
Oh,
little
did-
AEW friend.
His little AEW?
No, he's like, I know Cena.
He's just an
Cena-
equal opportunity
Cena
chance with
Senior-
wrestling. If you could-
Cena Senior went.
Did he?
You know, I got to tell you something. I was thinking this. I know we got to get out of here.
Was
but
he selling his sauce in the parking lot?
Here's my
Senior?
question. Do you think John
Yeah.
gets fucking annoyed? Like, yo,
With
what are
what?
you doing? That Cena Senior
I would be.
keeps going to
I'd be
AEW.
like,
I would be,
Dad,
what
what
are
are
you doing?
you doing?
Dad.
That would be like, you know, if my father got rest his soul ever showed up to watch the Mets, I'd be like, what's going on here? Are you feeling all right? Get back to the Bronx where you belong. What are you doing? So yeah, I'm with you. What are you doing at AEW? You can't see this.
Yeah, that's what I
Go
said.
home.
You just took my line.
Did I?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All right, we'll see you Sunday for the Godwins. This is Mike Monte.
This is the Pharaoh, and until next time, Sunday, where you will see us. Later.